Good evening, everyone. It is now 7:04 p.m. We are calling the North Fair Oaks Community Council regular meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Commencing roll call, Vice Chair Ponte,
Here.
Councilmember Esser,
Here.
Councilmember Whitney, Councilmember Daly.
Here.
Councilmember Parisi, Councilmember Orozco, Councilmember Salmon,
Here.
Councilmember Salmon,
I'm here. Can you guys hear me? Hello? I'm speaking. Can you guys hear me? Hello, can you hear me? I'm speaking. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Just a quick announcement. We do have interpreters joining us this evening. For those of you joining us in person, if you would like to listen to this meeting in Spanish, please use the headsets provided in the back table. We will now move on to public comment. Does anyone have a public comment on any topic not on the agenda? As a reminder, the council may not discuss or take action on items not on the agenda.
Members of the public, we are now on item 2, general public comment. If you would like to speak, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom or submit a speaker slip up to the clerk. We have 2 speaker slips submitted in person. When I call your name, you may come up to the podium and you'll have 2 minutes to speak. I'd like to call up Rodrigo first, followed by Gabriela.
Hello? Oh, there we go. My name is Rodrigo. I'm a resident of North Fair Oaks. So I'm here today because I saw an issue in the entrance to the North Fair Oaks Health Clinic. So there's 2 stop signs just after North Side heading northbound, Pacific Avenue heading northbound. And the second stop sign doesn't have any road markings. And I think that makes it pretty easy to miss. So I live on Hurlingham, so I've seen a lot of people drive past there. And especially when there's a lot of traffic, I've seen a lot of people miss the stop sign. And then on the southbound side, there is no second stop sign. So that makes it difficult for people who are exiting either the health clinic or the apartments that are right behind it. And I just thought that maybe there should be some road markings or something to make it more visible. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gabriela. I have lived in North Fair Oaks for 30 years. I'm part of the North Fair Oaks Community Alliance. We call ourselves Enfoca, a grassroots group of 7 neighbors. 2 years ago, Enfoca sent a petition to San Mateo County Public Works, and we also copied the district supervisor at the time. Public Works wrote back saying they would look into it. 2 years have passed and nothing has changed. A few weeks ago, Enfoca created and published 2 videos. They show the condition of the trees on Middlefield Road between 5th and 9th Avenue. There are 24 trees in this area. 13 of them are not doing well, and 8 spots have no trees at all. So we renewed our petition. We're asking the county for 3 things: to replace the trees that are missing or dying, to add irrigation so trees can survive, and to raise awareness so people protect our trees. Public Works has responded to our renewed petition. They said this section of Middlefield Road will be fixed in 2 to 3 years. This is on top of the 2 years we've already waited. This is a long time to wait. This time we have collected 120 signatures so far. Most of the people live, work, or study in North Fair Oaks. That's 77% of everyone who signed. The other 23% are allies. They have families or friends in North Fair Oaks. Tonight, I'm asking for your help. Help us find solutions we can start now. The county can plant trees in the 8 empty spots. They can send an arborist to check each tree and determine which ones need water. County workers can water those trees by hand. The county can also ask the Office of Community Affairs to talk to business owners so that only trained people prune our trees. Please help us protect our trees and to improve the community. I have a copy of the signatures that we have collected, and you can leave this for the supervisor.
Thank you. Any comments online?
Yeah, we do have one hand raised on Zoom. When I call your name, I will unmute your mic and you'll be granted 2 minutes. Let's begin with Ashley.
Good evening. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Ashley Zamora. I am the successor principal at KIP Excelencia Community Prep, a public charter that's existed in the Redwood City and North Fair Oaks community specifically for 12 years. We've been located at the Fair Oaks Elementary School campus since 2019. I'm here because as a representative for our school of just under 700 students and the families that we serve, both within the North Fair Oaks and the surrounding community. I'm really proud of the work. I am not one of the original founding staff members, but I joined in our 3rd year, and we do have founders who are still there, a thriving after school program and sports. Our academics are continuing to improve after the dip that many schools saw due to the pandemic. I'm here at the council meeting today because our charter is up for renewal this year. And because of the belief and commitment we have to the North Fair Oaks community, we wanted to take the time to ask the council to support our renewal with a formal letter to the Redwood City School District in support of KIP Excelencia. The district is going to begin the process in September with a final vote in December, so a letter in September would be immensely appreciated amongst the other community-based organizations in support of our school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last call for public comment for this item. Back to you, Vice Chair.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Roll call vote, please.
Vice Chair Ponte,
Yes.
Councilmember Esser,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitney, Councilmember Daly, Councilmember Salmon,
Yes.
motion passes.
We will now move on to our first item, a presentation from Planning and Building.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Katie Faulkner, and I'm a long-range planner with the San Mateo County Planning and Building Department. So tonight, I'm here to tell you a little bit about a project we've been working on, which is an update to the county's safety element. So we've recently put out a public draft, and we are asking for feedback, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about tonight. Next slide. So to start, I'll just give you a little bit of background about what a safety element is. So California law requires that each city and county adopt a general plan, which is a document that guides the physical development of a community. And general plans are required to have certain elements, and a safety element is one of those requirements. So other required elements of a general plan are land use, circulation, housing, which you might have heard about earlier, conservation, open space, noise, and environmental justice elements for certain communities. And as a side note, the county is also working on creating an environmental justice element currently. So you'll probably be hearing a little bit more about that from me in the future. But back to the topic at hand, the safety element, it is required to provide for the protection of the community from any unreasonable risks associated with multiple different natural hazards. And so the current San Mateo County General Plan has a chapter called the Natural Hazards chapter. That's the safety element, and we'll be replacing that and updating that. And right now, that chapter only includes policies on geotechnical hazards, fire hazards, and flooding hazards. And since that was adopted, there have been some updates to state law. And so that's why we're looking to update our safety element now. Next slide. So yeah, like I said, the state in recent years has passed several different laws requiring various updates to our safety element. And a big recent requirement is to add climate adaptation and resiliency information, policies, and implementation strategies to our safety element. So that's basically the bulk of what we've been doing. And updating the safety element also allows us to be consistent with other similar plans like the local hazard mitigation plan, and it will also enhance our eligibility for grant funding. Next slide. So the safety element has a few different components to it. First, it has a background section that reviews the hazards that the county is vulnerable to, and it also includes a number of different hazard maps. And just as a side note, we also have an online mapping, hazard mapping viewer available in case anyone wants to, kind of take a look at that. You can zoom in on your area, turn on and off different layers and different hazard layers and different asset layers to see how things are overlaid and how they intersect. And that helped us create this background section. The second half of the safety element is a section with broad goals and then more specific policies and then actions to implement those policies. Next slide. Thank you. So this slide lists the different hazard categories that are included in the safety element. So those are hazards such as seismic hazards. So that's things like earthquakes, liquefaction, and tsunamis. Geologic hazards, which includes things like landslides and coastal erosion, flooding, sea level rise, fire hazards, drought, and severe weather. So I want to note that the county's safety element covers the unincorporated county areas, so anything kind of outside of cities. And so these are hazards that various different parts of the county are vulnerable to. But specifically, if we focus on North Fair Oaks, this area is, a little more vulnerable to some of these hazards than others. So for example, parts of North Fair Oaks are within mapped hazard areas for dam failure, which is very rare, just want to put that out there, and liquefaction from earthquakes. And in the future, as sea level rises, groundwater levels will also rise in North Fair Oaks. So that's something else, that's noted in the safety element. But again, that's kind of far in the future, hopefully for now. And North Fair Oaks is also vulnerable to extreme heat. And although it's not mapped, North Fair Oaks also experiences flooding, which is something we heard about during our outreach process. So that brings us to our next slide. So we did a number of different community engagement activities for this project. So some of them are highlighted here. We held 2 virtual countywide meetings, and then we also specifically held 2 in-person meetings in North Fair Oaks, and then a number of other different local community meetings in other unincorporated communities in the county. Also had some stakeholder meetings with various folks and, a website where we had lots of information. Next slide. And so here is just a high-level summary of what we heard from those outreach meetings, specifically in North Fair Oaks. So at a very high level, we heard about the need to improve emergency response times, communication, and preparation in North Fair Oaks. We heard about the need for a flood assessment and flood mitigation. We heard about risks from extreme heat and the need for a heat action plan and cooling centers, the need to reduce risk from fire and specifically the smoke and air pollution that results from from wildfires. We also heard concerns about housing conditions, including things like lack of air conditioning. And we heard how hazards disproportionately affect vulnerable populations, such as people who are disabled or elderly. And so we took all that information, and then it helped us to inform our update to the safety element. So next slide. Thank you. So yeah, we took that information that we heard from the community, and we helped it helped us update our safety element. So the concerns we heard were used to help build our hazard profiles, and they were also used to help update our policies and actions to better address things like emergency communication and preparedness, infrastructure resilience, equity considerations, and regional coordination. Next slide. Thank you. And so I'll just quickly go over the structure of our goals, policies, and action section, because this is kind of where the meat of a lot of what we updated it. A lot of that is. So generally speaking, goals are a broad statement of what we want to achieve. And so in this example on the slide, our goal for extreme heat is the community is prepared for an increasing amount of extreme heat events. Next, policies are general guidance that directs decision making. And so here we have a policy about shade cover in public and private spaces. And I'd also like to point out that under each policy, we list the relevant hazards, responsible departments, and supporting agencies in that green box there. So that's also something to look out for if you're reviewing the document. And then finally, we have implementation actions. And those are specific steps to carry out the policies that we created. And so we have a lot of policies in our safety element. So if you're interested in something specific, I suggest searching for the specific hazard, doing a keyword search, and that kind of can help you find the specific policies a little quicker. And then also to help review this document, I created a review guide that I can email out maybe after this meeting. I heard that would be helpful from some other folks that we've talked to. And I also it'll be up online hopefully tomorrow. So I'll follow up with that because it is a big document. So apologize for how big it is, but a lot of stuff to cover. And then just next slide. Thank you. So this is just quickly to go over the different types of policies we have. So we have a lot of policies and actions that cover a range of topics and hazards, and they're organized into 5 bigger categories. So we have policies about data gathering, making sure up to date on the data, public communication, development regulations, infrastructure improvements, and plans and programs. And we organized it this way because a lot of these policies can apply to multiple hazards. And right now, all these policies and actions are in draft form, and we're planning to update based on the feedback that we get during this review period. So yeah, we'd love to hear if folks have thoughts to share with us. Next slide. So yeah, we love your input. We want to know, do we have the right policies and actions? Are there any gaps, any suggested improvements? We are asking for comments by the end of the month, but if people need more time, please let us know. It took us a while to get on this agenda. So we're a little flexible, but yeah, kind of let us know. So the full draft of the safety element and other background documents are available on our project website, which is listed here. And then we also have a little QR code to make it easier to find too. I'm happy to hear feedback at this meeting, or you can visit our project website and submit a comment, or you can email me later if you have a comment. And so just after this review period, we take public feedback and update the safety element. And then we'd have some review by state agencies, and then we would go to public adoption hearings with the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors. And that's just, the brief next steps. So yeah, that's my presentation and I'm available for any questions.
Any comments from council members?
Think pretty much heard that El Nino is on its way this fall. And so thank you for all the work that's been done to date. How quickly could some things get implemented if in fact we are going to get hit the way they're claiming the weather could change this fall and winter. So great work and thank you, but I'm a little nervous that are we going to be ready? Or are we ready, or what plans are in place now that will take effect?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. So this document is a bit more of a long-range policy document versus a what do we need to do in the next few weeks document. But we do have a public works department that I'm sure is preparing, and we have One Shoreline, which is our flood resiliency agency, and so I'm sure they're busy getting ready for this. I'm sorry, I'm not quite the best person to answer that question, but maybe we can get back to you on some of the activities that are immediate activities that they're working on.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
Councilmember Whitney?
Thank you for the presentation. A lengthy process. This is a long thing, and we have this plan for like 10 or 15 years before you update it again.
Yes.
Is it like the housing element where they do?
Yeah, actually, after this update, we are required to update it either every time we update the local hazard mitigation plan or every time we update the housing element at our discretion. So every 5 to 8 years will be our future update cycle for the safety element.
I took in most of it and I browsed the website. I'm looking at the map and all that stuff. You got some good stuff available. It's going to take a while to digest. From your slides, the one thing I didn't see was like man-made disasters. So we got earthquakes. It's like it's when, not if, because we live in California. But we have like an electrical grid that's like gonna fail, like historically, even without wildfires, they just like screw up and sell all the power to someone else and do brownouts. I remember like Gray Davis was governor and we had brownouts for like a year before and they didn't have wildfires at the time, but for some reason the grid was always overextended. In this community, people are like struggling, and there's like a lot of people living in the small spaces. And when the power goes out in the middle of winter, when it's cold and there's no heat, that's a health and safety issue. And then in summer, I live in an older building, sun hits it all day. Feels like it's 10 or 15 degrees cooler or hotter in my building facing the sun than like Menlo Park or Redwood City. We have microclimates. So there's like people aging in place, seniors and multi-generational families all kind of crammed in. And the power goes down for like a day and a half and there's no air conditioning. I know we've got like the library and cooling centers, but it feels like we could do more, just because I feel like the failure of the electrical grid is as inevitable as the earthquake thing, just because of the way California does business. So that's my only, like, include man-made disasters. And someone somewhere is probably dealing with some toxic chemicals that they're not telling anyone about. They used to like ship napalm out of the port of Redwood City for the Vietnam War, and they didn't tell anyone, but have had that rail car or truck gone off the freeway or whatever. We've got all sorts of construction activities, biotech. They're going to build this cancer thing for Stanford. Someone might have a truck roll over with radioactive material or other wacky stuff, and it's not a problem until it's a problem. And then all of a sudden it's like, we never planned for this.
Yeah. Thank you for that comment. All right, a couple things to try to answer or respond. This particular document does focus on natural hazards very, specifically. We do have a separate older element or a separate chapter that's man-made hazards, and it should probably be updated to human-made hazards. So that we do have that in our general plan right now. But to go back to some of the other things you mentioned, we do talk about public power safety shutoffs because that is related to natural hazards, fire and that kind of thing. And then we do talk about extreme heat and severe weather. So that those topics are in the safety element. We do have several kind of policies and actions around that. And there are some activities coming up and I think that will be kind of potentially our next presentation too, where there are some grant applications that we're working on to already start to try to take action on the things in this plan. And then we also, like I said, we have something called the environmental justice element that we're also working on. And that one is something that addresses more of the kind of pollution issues that you mentioned. And so that element collects data, or we have been collecting data about, what the state has for the pollution issues in places like North Fair Oaks and some other places in the county. And we have, again, kind of policies and actions that we've identified based on that. And it's still in draft form, but hopefully this fall we'll be releasing a public draft of that. And so that will be something else that we'll come back to you about to talk more about. So yeah, I hope that kind of answers some of it. It is an ongoing process, yes, and I appreciate things should be done as quick as possible. But yeah, we're doing our best to adjust what we can.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm looking at the hazard mapping tool, and yeah, as you mentioned, and as the council member Daley also mentioned, we do have a lot of things coming up here in the upcoming months, rain specifically, but also if we look at next year, or maybe the latter half of this year with the summer ending, the urban heat. And I guess, the public comment that we had earlier about the trees here in North Fair Oaks, that's very timely because in this hazard mapping tool, you look at North Fair Oaks, it's just all gray, but you move over to like the Atherton, Lindenwood area and it's green. And, that's the big contributor to why, North Fair Oaks does have this intense heat because we don't have that much greenery. So I know how siloed the county is. The county of San Mateo, a lot of county offices are. And so it would be great if, planning and building and, community affairs and all these departments could work together and, get these things done. Work on, the trees that were installed years ago but weren't upkept. So yeah, I think I know you guys are thinking macro level, but we also need to tackle the micro right now because, you might quit and you're not going to end up seeing, the work being done. And I've seen it before in other departments where, people leave and that the presentation's done, the promises are given, but there's no follow through.
Yeah.
So let's focus on the right now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. That's a fair comment. And I think next presentation is about some of the things that the county is working on across departments to try and move some of these policies and actions forward. And yeah, we are looking at all the available grant funding that's coming up, and we're trying to take advantage of that the best we can and work across departments, public works, planning, sustainability. So yeah, thank you for that comment.
Are there any public comments?
If you would like to comment on agenda item 4, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom or bring a speaker slip up to the clerk during this time. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak. And we do have a hand raised on Zoom, and when I call your name, I will unmute you and you'll be granted 2 minutes. Ever, you may start.
Good evening, council members. Good to see you all. And thank you for the presentation about the hazard mitigation plan, which has great information. But something that it would be great to see would be how the county departments that serve North Fair Oaks and other communities for that matter, how they connect to the general hazard mitigation plan, and further, how those county departments individually really utilize this information to try and tackle or prevent some of the hazards that threaten our community. I think that's the next step for the community to be more engaged and interested in the hazard mitigation plan, to really learn, how that information relates to me specifically, rather than just have, a very general view that, like the presenter said, it goes into the future. But hopefully, as she mentioned, the presenter, maybe the next presentation would delve into some of that information. But yeah, that's the main concern, to really connect to the individual communities to see how that hazard mitigation plan truly can benefit the communities. Thank you.
Last call for public comment. Back to you, Vice Chair.
Thank you. Next item, we have a presentation given by the Sustainability Department.
Good evening. Good evening, Vice Chair Aponte and members of the North Fair Oaks Community Council. My name is Karen Wang, and I'm the Assistant Director of the San Mateo County Sustainability Department. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. I'm here to share a brief overview of the 3 Proposition 4 climate bond grant applications we are preparing for North Fair Oaks. We welcome your feedback as we finalize these applications over the next month. Next slide. The Sustainability Department works to help create communities that are healthy, resilient, and prepared for today's challenges and future challenges. The core of that work is partnering with residents, community organizations, county departments, and cities to develop practical, community-informed solutions. Next slide. Our work helps San Mateo County fight and prepare for climate change, ensure clean energy, water, and air, and conserve resources through waste reduction and management. We also work with businesses, residents, youth, and community partners to take practical sustainability actions through education and engagement. Next slide. The 3 grant opportunities we are pursuing are funded through Proposition 4, California's voter-approved climate bond. Proposition 4 makes up to $10 billion available over the next decade for projects that help communities prepare for climate impacts and build resilience. A key focus is ensuring that funding reaches communities with greater needs and greater climate risks. Next slide. We chose to focus these applications on North Fair Oaks because the community faces significant climate risks and because the state's disadvantaged community criteria for these grant opportunities. Residents can be more vulnerable to extreme heat and flooding, as we heard in the previous presentation. And there is also a strong network of trusted community-based organizations with deep experience in engagement, health, and equity. Combined with the priorities that residents have already identified, this gives us a very strong foundation for community-driven grant proposals. Next slide. As this graphic shows, North Fair Oaks is projected to experience about 4 heat health events per year by mid-century, along with growing flood risks in low-lying areas. Residents have identified clear priorities: reducing heat exposure, planting trees, improving food access, and strengthening neighborhood infrastructure and public spaces. The library next door, this facility, the Fair Oaks Community Center, and green spaces were specifically identified as opportunities for improvement. These priorities directly shape the 3 grant applications we are pursuing. Next slide. The first is the Transformative Climate Communities Grant program. It supports coordinated community-led projects that deliver environmental, health, and economic benefits in communities most impacted by pollution. Next slide. The TCC application we are putting together is centered on 3 resident identified projects through the Climate Resilient Communities-led Community Vulnerability Assessment. First component would be Cooler Homes, which would support home improvements that reduce indoor temperatures and improve safety during extreme heat. The second component would be Speak for the Trees, which would expand tree canopy to increase shade, reduce heat exposure, and improve outdoor access. The third is a mobile resource market, which would improve reliable access to fresh foods and essential resources, particularly during heat events or other emergencies. These projects would be advanced with Climate Ready North Fair Oaks and local partners and are intended to support workforce development, the local economy, and a healthier, more resilient community. Next slide. This map here shows a proposed TCC project area. The site was selected because it meets the state's disadvantaged community eligibility criteria, which is required for this funding opportunity. Next slide. The second opportunity is the Community Resilience Center grant. This program funds planning and development for facility improvements, partner sites, and services that strengthen emergency preparedness and community resilience. Next slide. For this application, we are proposing improvements to this building, the Fair Oaks Community Center, in coordination with the City of Redwood City. Potential improvements include kitchen upgrades, roof repairs, shade structures, solar and battery resilience features, and accessibility improvements. The goal is not only to improve the building, but also to strengthen its ability to serve residents during emergencies and support resilience-focused programs throughout the year. Next slide. The third grant opportunity is the Extreme Heat and Community Resilience Program. It supports planning and infrastructure projects that reduce extreme heat impacts and protect the people most affected by extreme heat. Next slide. This application would support a county-wide heat action plan and a heat resilience demonstration project around the North Fair Oaks Library next door. Possible improvements include more shade and trees, cooler surfaces, seating, water access, bus stop improvements, with potential home cooling support for nearby households. The goal is to make this area safer and more comfortable during extreme heat for children, older adults, library users, transit riders, nearby residents, and all people who are accessing services at this center, at the HSA office next door, and the mobile health clinic. It would also provide heat relief for people working at or attending regular markets and community events in this area. Together, last slide. Oh, my thank you slide. Together, these 3 applications pursue state resources for projects that respond directly to North Fair Oaks priorities: cooler homes and public spaces, more shade and trees, better access to food and services, and stronger community facilities for everyday and emergencies. Thank you for your time. I welcome your questions and input as we finalize these applications.
Are there any comments from council members?
So I guess my question is, if these grants don't go through, what happens to North Fair Oaks? Because these things are needed regardless of these grants. So I'm trying to understand, like, are we waiting to get these grants so that we're going to make improvements in North Fair Oaks because there's no money to do it from any other funding?
We are pursuing these grant opportunities because the state has made a great sum of money available. And these are grant opportunities that this is like some of the first round of these grant opportunities. As I mentioned, these grant opportunities will be available over the next 10 years. So this is the first round that's been made available. We are doing our best to make our grant applications competitive. If these grant applications are not successful, there will be future rounds, and we are also exploring other opportunities.
And it's state money then? It's not county money, it's state
Yes,
of
these are
California
state
money?
grant opportunities.
Okay. Sometimes I question whether or not this location here at the Fair Oaks Center and the library is really the heart of North Fair Oaks. I think I see a lot of people come to events at this center, and it's a wonderful center, but I often question whether or not we need to move a little bit further into North Fair Oaks, down Middlefield Road some way, because I think we miss out on participation from people because this still kind of feels like Redwood City. And that's just a side comment, but now we're splitting up time or money resources with Redwood City, and I love Redwood City, but I'm going to be selfishly asked that it all goes to North Fair Oaks. So that would just be my comment, that I'm curious to know if we can look at other sites just a little bit further into Middlefield Road, down Middlefield Road somewhere.
Okay, thank you for that input. There is an opportunity with one of the grants to look at partner sites that are not necessarily where the majority of the funding is. And so we are looking at that.
Councilmember Whitten?
Thank you for coming and doing the presentation tonight. I found the email attachment, so I was going back through the slides. The TCC proposed project site, this one with the little map that shows.
Yes.
I live on the other side of the train tracks, by the St. Francis Center on Buckingham Avenue. It's a little pocket neighborhood. We got the St. Francis Center, but it's a very densely occupied neighborhood, and you kind of like didn't even cross the railroad tracks and left a big chunk of my chunk, which out of your TCC proposed project site. I don't know. I just feel bad about that because I suffer in a very hot apartment building that's probably 1970s, 5 units, hot. We're in the midst of it. But it was a good presentation. I applaud the work, and I just wanted to complain real quick. Thanks.
Yeah, that project area was selected because it meets for that specific grant, the state's disadvantaged community eligibility criteria, otherwise known as DAC. And the state is actually revising some of the DAC designations, and we have been coordinating with planning and building and with other groups to submit public comment and to work with them on expanding the definition of what might qualify for future grant opportunities.
Yeah. Great presentation, Karen. Quick question for you. It sounds like one of the proposals includes a lot of work on our community center here, a lot of retrofit work. Was a cost benefit analysis done doing that retrofit work versus just building a new community center with all the modern features in it?
Not to my knowledge. We are working with our partners in the city of Redwood City in their Public Works Department and they've been providing the cost estimates.
Okay, no, I saw the total value of the Prop 4 money looks like a pretty big figure to me. And I thought, if it wouldn't be that much more to build a new center as opposed to, upgrading virtually every system in the building, the math might work out that it might be more economical, in fact, to just build a new building. Something to think about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Who will be competing with other unincorporated areas around the state, correct? Like we'll be up against LA and other big cities for this money?
It's not just unincorporated, but yes, the entire state. Yes.
Entire state.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it's a really tight deadline. You guys don't have a lot of time to get this. Has it been in the process for a while?
Yes, we have been working on these applications. But yes, it has been a compressed timeline.
Okay. Thank you again for the presentation.
I believe we have Councilmember Salmon online.
Yes, thank you. Wonderful presentation, Karen. Thank you for showing us the expectations, the plans, and how much good this money can do for the community. I understand this was just a general outline. When you had mentioned things about temperature control, energy stability, things of that nature for the community, I'm curious if there's a detailed plan that I can review. I'm very curious to see if the money will be going towards allowing residents to install HVAC systems, to change windows. Like, what will the money actually be used for aside from just saying it will help with temperature control? I would love to see the details. Yeah.
For the TCC application, that is the intent is for home improvements, such as HVAC improvements or energy efficiency improvements. In all of these grant applications, there is especially the extreme heat and community resilience program. That one I also mentioned there might be home cooling support for nearby households. That grant is a little bit different. That grant includes some community engagement and participation before things are actually finalized. So if we were to get that grant, there would be a community process in determining what the actual demonstration project for that grant would be.
Understood. Okay.
For the TCC grant, yes, what you had mentioned, yes, would be part of it.
If possible, can you just please email me whatever you have? I'd love to dig into some details.
Okay, I can do that.
If you have it. If you don't, I understand.
Karen, you can also just email to community affairs and then we can send out to the council members as well. Thank you.
Are there any public comments on this item?
We do have one speaker slip submitted. When I call your name, you may come up to the podium and you will have 2 minutes to speak. I'd like to call up Gabriella for public comment.
Good evening again. Thank you for your presentation. That was really informative. I want to second council members Daly's comment about this community center and library. Even though these two institutions do great work and they do serve North Fair Oaks residents, technically speaking, the library and this community center where we are located are not within the boundary of North Fair Oaks. They're part of the Redwood City proper, according to Google Maps. And if you notice, the boundary of North Fair Oaks is really right, where the traffic light is. And so this is at the far end of North Fair Oaks. And I want to point out that there are many people in this community that rely on walking for getting to most of the services that they do get. And some families may have only one car, and the working person is the one that takes the car. And so in many times, the mom and the kids are walking to the library or other services. And so I do want to second that request that you look at other areas that are more centrally located when you think about improvements for North Fair Oaks that are truly going to benefit the people that need it most. Because most people that have cars, they also have air conditioning at home, or they may not live in a really old apartment building that gets really hot. So we have to think about how to get the services to the people that need it most and within accessibility to their, within their lives. So thank you.
We do have one hand raised on Zoom. When I call your name, I will unmute your mic and you will be granted 2 minutes. Ever, you may begin.
Hello again. I wanted to make a comment about the disinvestment that North Fair Oaks has had forever. And while this potential funding is welcome when and if it comes, I wanted to point out to the irony of tonight's first public comment given earlier by Gabriela about petition we have asking a county to care for and give regular maintenance to the trees on the public way at Middlefield Road from 5th to 9th Avenues, and how that issue alone, which may appear minimal, does not even get attention and has yielded only promises to do something in 2 years. And this is after we have already waited 2 years of inactivity when we first put in a petition in 2024 to care for these trees. And so, you would think that this is kind of low-hanging fruit that a county could take on. And yet that doesn't even happen. So it is an example of the disinvestment. And, I'm hoping that this funding comes through and that it really ends up benefiting the community. But, I would be hesitant to challenge a county to really start investing, some of their own money on this community because, we live here, we work here, we pay taxes here, and it's just fair to provide what this community gives. Thank you.
Last call for public comment. Back to you, Vice Chair.
Thank you. We will now move on to item number 6, presentation for introduction to the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space and Project Update.
Now for something. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. You're fine. Great. I just wanted to say, and now for something completely different. What amazing presentations for the community. So good evening, Council and audience. My name is Margaret McNiven, and I am the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space Director for this ward. It's the San Mateo County, which extends all the way up through to this area, as you will see. So next slide. I just wanted to read to you the mission statement for the organization. It's to acquire and preserve a regional green belt of open space land in perpetuity, protect and restore the natural environment, and provide opportunities for ecologically sensitive public enjoyment and education. So our mission also includes the coast and agriculture protecting. So slide. These are the lands that we protect. The boundary is roughly from Highway 1 in the west to the bay, and from Los Gatos in the south to Pacifica in the north. And on this map, the dark green spots are Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District's lands. The light green are other protected lands, the state, the federal government, and nonprofit organizations protect those lands. Okay. Slide. Mid-Penn encompasses an area of about 700,000 residents and is divided into 7 wards, what they call wards. And North Fair Oaks is in the middle green, the lime green area, right up in the north. It's sort of a gerrymandered area because the population of down in the coast is so low. So that's why you're included in lands on the coast. And I represent you. Okay, next slide. Here are some metrics. We have 72,000 acres, of which 7,000 are redwoods. Sorry, next slide. I'm so nervous. I was told 8 minutes and I know I'm going to go over. So you're with Fred. Oh, thank you. Well, then I'll just enjoy this. I want to show you some pictures of our preserves. This is Purisima Creek, which is really beautiful. A lot of the lands on the mountains are above the fog. In the morning when the fog is on in Fair Oaks down here, the upper mountains are in beautiful sunshine, sometimes too hot. So next slide. The first preserve I wanted to highlight is one that's very close to here. It's Ravenswood Open Space Preserve down by the bay. And it's 376 acres. And it's a great location for bird watching and family adventures. It's a very flat, easy pedestrian trail. And I would really recommend that you take your families there. There was a time I was mentoring children at the high school. And when we had our one-on-one time, I would often bring them to Ravenswood and we would walk. They had no idea. So do take a trip down there. Next. El Corte Madera. These are somewhat less accessible for the North Fair Oaks community. El Corte Madera up on Skyline next, but it's beautiful redwoods. La Honda Open Space Preserve, which is down 84 towards the coast. Next. And Purisima Creek Redwoods. These are areas that are usually a lot cooler in the summer. Okay. Couple more, slide. Windy Hill Open Space, which you can actually see from the bay. If you look up to the hills, that area above Woodside, Redwood City, straight up to the mountains is Windy Hill. Definitely worth a visit. Next. So I wanted to spend some time talking about the programs and projects. We don't only have these beautiful lands for people to enjoy. We work a lot on protecting nature. So next. this is a project that's very close to North Fair Oaks. We have improved the access to the Ravenswood Preserve that I was talking about just a couple of minutes ago. It's a complicated situation in that several jurisdictions own the land around, the SFPUC, Mid-Penn, City of East Palo Alto. And so they all had to come together to open a gate, and they did. It took some time, but now you can walk up Rutgers and go straight across the road and over into the park. So that was a good example of different jurisdictions working together to get something accomplished, even if it takes a long time. Next. Another thing we do is we spend a lot of time working on wildland fires. We don't work on the fires because we haven't had any. Well, we've had a couple this year, but we have a program to work on wildfires because we have a lot of open land, and it mostly involves thinning the vegetation so along the road at the access roads so that emergency vehicles can get to a fire more easily. And it also, by removing the brush and clearing the brush, the fire is not so intense and it's easier to put out. So that's the biggest part of our wildland policy. But we also, because the rangers and the staff know the area so well, they have maps and they can coordinate with the fire department to help with access. And I did hear the other day that when the CZU fire struck back in 2020, there were no fires on Mid-Penn lands because the rangers were able to get out and put the fire out before they got out of control. The ones that were not put out right away became the huge CZU fire. So it's good to have an eye on those open lands and know where the various areas are. So that's mostly what our fire policy works on. Next. Well, so we have these trails in the mountains and they're pretty rugged. And so we've recently started enhancing our ADA accessibility within the preserves. So that means things like wheelchair accessible pathways. Well, of course, parking, handicap parking. And there's two preserves that I know of. One is Rancho San Antonio, which is down 280, just by Los Altos there. They've put this wonderful pathway in all the way from the parking lot. It's about a mile, and you can walk with ease, or wheelchair, or whatever you need, but it makes it easy. And then up on Skyline, there's a preserve called Skyline Ridge, and they've put an ADA pathway to some beautiful picnic tables, and it's really easy, and my kids love it. It's good for the kids to be able to get down there. Next. We do some education programs, and one of them is we decided to hold a career fair. So people who want to have a future in parks environment, and it was very successful. They did not expect it to be so successful, but there were 1,000 kids who came to find out what kind of career they can have in the environment. So that was very successful. Next. the education programs are either, well, they have lots of them. The rangers have what they call species and trails. They take kids out for walks and show them all the fun stuff that you have out in nature. There's somebody gave the money for a building on Alpine Pond, which is up on Skyline. And there's all sorts of animals and you can take your school children up there, and there's programs up there, nature programs, which are really interesting. And then we have docent-led hikes. And so there's a lot going on. It's really nice. Next. Well, there's the docent naturalist program. So people just want to take other people out. And so they guide walks on our preserves, show them all the nature and animals. So next. I sort of wanted to leave you with this education outreach that we do, which is rodenticide outreach. You know, we all hate rats. Well, we don't like them. And so one of the things they've discovered is that there are coyotes out there on the preserves, hawks that are dying or dead. And they were like, why are these coyotes dying? Why are these bobcats dying? And they traced it to rodenticides that we use to kill our rats. So they really are trying to get people especially people that live around the preserves, to not use rodenticides, to use traps. It's very sad to see there's a mangy coyote down there in the bottom of the picture. So I just wanted you to think about that next time you put out rat bait. Next. Partnerships. Last time I was here, I talked about the partnerships that we have, and we are still doing those. We have, we have Saved by Nature and Latino Outdoors and this youth conservation program. And it's really fun to see the kids out there getting fresh air, running around, and just interacting with nature. Next. Visit a preserve, get involved. And next. How to get involved? Well, there's a website, openspace.org. You can see all the programs there. You can sign up for newsletters. And there's also some QR codes that you can click on. Next. There's the staff. Oh, my colleague Alex is here. Next. Questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any comments from council members? Councilmember Whitney?
Thank you for coming back. You came in April 2024, right after you got elected. And I was really impressed that you, as an elected representative, were actually coming out in person to reach out to this underserved community. I love this Mid-Peninsula Open Space District. I grew up by Mount Umunhum, and they ended up helping transition that from an Air Force base to a public space. So all up and down that Santa Cruz mountain range, they're touching all these beautiful projects. That Chinitas Creek thing, I think that's a county. The Horsley, I haven't been there yet, but it's on my to-do list. I think you guys helped. We're like one.
We gave them $500,000 towards the project. So it was Post that did the most of
the
and
Peninsula Open Space Trust.
Peninsula Open Space Trust.
There's like a whole bunch of partner agencies that help make that happen.
Well, I don't know about a whole bunch, but there was Peninsula Open Space Trust and San Mateo County Parks.
Cool.
Thank you for your presentation. I think all we have to do is look around and recognize how lucky we are in California that there are organizations like yours that are helping to protect, keep it so beautiful and secure those spaces so that we have what we have. So thank you for that effort.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to thank you, Margaret, for your service on the Mid-Penn board for 4 years and on Green Foothills, I believe, for many years before that. So thank you very much.
I believe in it. I hope the trees get saved in Fair Oaks.
Street trees between Fifth and Ninth.
Pardon me?
It's the street trees between Fifth and Ninth.
Yeah.
They need to be replanted, so we'll die here.
If they can do it in Menlo Park on El Camino, they can do it on Middlefield in Fair Oaks.
Or if we get nice trees.
Yeah.
Street.
Yeah.
I don't know how the difference is.
Let me think. They did get the school kids to help with planting those trees down El Camino.
Does Councilmember Singman have a comment online?
I do not. Thank you for the presentation. Looking forward to next steps.
Are there any public comments?
If you would like to make a comment on agenda item 6, please use the raise hand feature on Zoom or bring a speaker slip up to the clerk during this time. You'll be given 2 minutes to speak. There are no public comments at this time. Back to you, Vice Chair.
Thank you. We will now move on to report outs. The first report from District 4.
I'm sorry, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it. I just want to make sure that you, as your representative for District 4, I hear you. We are working on the trees. The county is aware of the tree situation as well. And we will get to that. I think that's my update for tonight.
Thank you. 7B, County Executive Office report.
Good evening, everyone. I'm not sure if you can hear me or not.
We can.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I appreciate you allowing me to join you virtually tonight. I just have a couple things to update on. First is parking. So I know we had a really great conversation regarding the parking issues throughout North Fair Oaks, and I did commit to coming back with an update. At this point, we're really exploring two separate things with regards to parking, and I don't have a lot of details I can share right now, mainly because we're still trying to determine what the proper avenues are, but we are looking to evaluate how we can address matters like commercial parking that kept coming up. I know that there are certain commercial activities that keep conflicting with residential parking. And so we have been looking really across the country at models of what other jurisdictions have been doing. And I think we've found some really unique ones, but we need to make sure that they can fit within the California Vehicle Code requirements. And so right now, we are actively working with council to determine what flexibility we have. So I don't want to say too much because I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. I fully anticipate, we're in August right now, I fully anticipate to have something before the council that you can really chew on and give us feedback on no later than the October meeting, and would love to try and get something sooner than that, but definitely by the October meeting. And just so you know, that strategy that we're going to bring to you is not just about parking restrictions, it's also going to be about parking enforcement, right? And so we recognize that you need to have both. And so in addition to evaluating how we go about the rules on the book, we're also evaluating how we go about enforcing those. So there's two simultaneous conversations going on. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail just because we haven't had a chance to really run them through all the appropriate internal channels, but I do anticipate bringing those back no later again than October, but preferably sooner if we can. And then the second is I know there have been conversations in the past about having the sheriff's office attend these meetings and provide regular updates. And so we spoke with the sheriff's office. They're going to start attending quarterly. They will be at the next meeting, and then they'll participate every quarter from there on out, including around the February-March timeframe. They're going to give a big, robust annual report looking at the previous year. So that's something that the council can anticipate. So next month we will bring either the captain or his sergeant out to the council. They'll be there to provide an update, answer any questions you all have. And then again, we can anticipate that quarterly. With that said, if there is something that happens in between those quarters that require their attention, they are more than happy to attend and address any issues that are going on in the community. And then I guess lastly, just to echo what Supervisor Gaucher said, we hear you loud and clear on the trees, and Public Works is actively working on getting us information. I did hear the time frame 2 years. I don't want to overcommit, but I think Supervisor Gaucher would agree with me that we can certainly get something done sooner than 2 years.
I would hope so, yes.
Yeah. So, but we will do much better than that, and we'll bring an update. We can certainly bring an update on that to the council at the next meeting.
Can I add one more thing? Can we get this is George Salon. Can we get an update on the Middlefield Road project? It's still not complete in my view. I mean, it's still quite a bit that needs to be done, and it's been several years and nothing's moving. We've got there's nothing happening there. We got to know what's going on.
George, that's the short answer is absolutely yes. In fact, earlier today, the county executive had asked me to schedule a meeting for himself, the supervisor, myself, and Department of Public Works to receive an update on the latest and greatest for the Middlefield Road Improvement Project. So we will start those conversations internally, get everyone up to speed, and I will have Tori Newman, the Director of Public Works, or someone from his team attend the next meeting so that they can provide you with a more detailed update.
Thank you so much.
Nick, and I would say to George, one other thing we want to do is we want to get this project completed so that we can celebrate the completion and the work that has happened on Middlefield. It is there's been a lot of great work that's happened. I know we're still working with utilities that are still working there, but undergrounding the utilities. But we're looking forward to a great celebration with the work that's happened on Middlefield.
I look forward to celebrating with the whole team.
And that's all the updates I have, but happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Yeah. There's a Vice Chair Blanca has a comment she wants to make. That's okay.
Yes, public comment.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Blanca Tapia, I use she, her pronouns. I'm the interim chief with the Office of Community Affairs. And I just wanted to share something really fun that's coming up for council members, community members. Everyone is invited to attend. So Welcoming Week is coming up September 10th through 19th of this year. And Welcoming Week is really just an opportunity to bring awareness to all people and let them know that they are welcome in San Mateo County. In our communities, they belong. So that's really the message we're trying to get across. And we are going to be, in the theme this year is Seeds of Connection. And we're going to be hosting a resource fair / garden party here in North Fair Oaks at Friendship Park on Saturday, September 12th from 2 to 4 p.m. So there'll be some really fun planting activities to do. So everyone is invited and welcome. There'll be some also resources, just education and information for community members. So we brought a few flyers that we'll share out. And And we'll be back in the North Fair Oaks community, just really promoting the event and inviting everyone to attend. So we hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7C, council member reports. Anybody have a report? Oh,
Where I'm always confused about what I can actually ask for or save. And the attorney's not here, so cut me off if I need to be, oh, he is online. Okay. The request at public comment, regarding the Tip Excellentia charter renewal. How can I ask the county or how can I ask the council for a request for us to have that letter drafted and ready for approval by our September meeting? Can I formally ask, is that?
Yeah, you can ask for an agenda item.
I just did it? Okay, so I can ask that be an agenda item to vote on it? Okay, okay,
Chair, Vice Chair.
okay. Vice Chair?
Private.
I will get it. Okay, don't
yeah,
worry.
we'll bring it up during our agenda meeting.
Okay, and then my other question or comment regarding some of the presentations tonight is this threat of El Nino and what happens, especially in North Fair Oaks. I can see on a regular basis, rains over the last couple of years in my walks back and forth, the gutters have to be clean in order to keep the streets from flooding in North Fair Oaks. And that, because we have so much issues with trash and leaves and things, I often wonder if some of the gutters have just not been so clogged over the years with leaves and things like that, that we get this additional flooding problems that wouldn't happen if things were swept on a more regular basis or blasted out on a more regular basis. So I see it around the school on Fair Oaks Avenue, Hurlingham, Oakside, Barron, that whole group. And a lot of times it's just trash. The problem being with the school is it's Redwood City District property. So I don't know how to ask the county to come in and take a look at those gutters and things that are inside the school that probably have trash and leaves that are helping to flood the streets of North Fair Oaks. So it's public-private property owned by others, but I think it does add to the flooding issues. And so as we think about community cleanups and prepared for something to happen, it's just a thought that I wanted to make sure we thought about.
And Kathleen, I appreciate that. In East Palo Alto, I live, on the street that I live on, and I'm in a city. I've adopted my corner, so I don't wait for Public Works to come out and do it. When I see it flood, I get the rake out because I want to protect my property. So I think it's a combination of like, how do we work together? So if you see something, if somebody can take care of it as opposed to waiting and saying it's the county's issue alone.
I would agree. It's just, I don't know how to get down into those pipes. I mean, we can.
So we can add that. Nick?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we also look at that and see how we can partner on the gutter area or the grates and encourage people to help the county as well, since this is a large county?
Absolutely, and Blanca and I can the whole OCA team can get working on some messaging for that. I would also just add that there's an internal meeting to occur at the county in September where all the departments come together and we start coordinating our winter storm preparations. And part of that for Public Works will be addressing the storm drain systems on the roads. So within public streets, it sounds like this may be drainage on the school grounds. So that might necessitate a call to the school district, but we can certainly do both of those.
Thank you.
And then one other comment regarding that is we haven't, even though we have some ideas for community cleanup, I feel like it would be helpful if Office of Community Affairs, if we could do a campaign of let's keep our streets clean throughout North Fair Oaks. We haven't done one for a while. I know there was one a few years ago, but just a public awareness campaign to get people thinking about keeping our streets cleaner because yes, it's a problem and some of it's just trash that people decide to just throw out and leave on the street. So.
The chair.
Councilmember Whitney?
Just 3 items. There's a citizenship academy that the county does every year. I did it like 5 years ago and I saw one of the social media announced it was happening again. And it's like 12 weeks, but you really learn a lot. And you're going to be in like a cohort with people from all over the county. People from like the Coastside Community Council, someone from like South San Francisco Arts Council, just random people that are interested in getting more involved. And you're going to, be able to see county health and the parks and the criminal justice system. It's a great thing to get involved in. I know Esther's done it. Please consider signing up either this year or in future years or letting others that that are interested in kind of building social capital and giving back and paying forward, that this is a great way to get started. And then CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Team. And every county, every city, every fire district has that. And Menlo Park Fire Protection District covers us from the train tracks south, and Redwood City covers us from the train tracks north. And you can literally sign up for either one. They're not going to kick you out. And they offer the CERT training like 3 or 4 times a year. I did it in East Palo Alto. It was 3 Saturdays. It's fun. You learn something. You get like a little hard hat to wear and a vest, and you get a wrench to turn off your gas supply after the earthquake. Like hands-on real skills for like, it's cool. So I saw an email, the next class for the Menlo Park Fire Protection District is in September. Just like Google the Fire Protection District, CERT, CERT. And I think in the city catalog for the Redwood City, they list the CERT training. And Redwood City does it in Spanish and English. So if that's language is an issue, I recommend the Redwood City one. And we're all going to work together after a disaster. So it doesn't really matter where you get trained up. Anyway, that's all I got. Thanks.
Excuse me, just one thing real quick. We've talked about cars and parking, and we've heard stories of cases where people have multiple vehicles, some of which don't get used very often. I got a notice that the Bay Area Air District's vehicle buyback program is offering $2,000 to residents whose vehicles are model year 2000 or older. And there are 3 qualifications for it. It has to be a car that's model year 2000 or older. It has to be registered and operable with proof of registration for the past 24 months. And if you're within 60 days of a smog check, you have to have it smog checked. But $2,000 is a pretty good price for a vehicle that old. Anybody who's interested can get more information at www.baaqmd.gov/VBB for more details. They don't make that easy, but it sounds like a pretty interesting program for people who have multiple vehicles. And the only other thing I had tonight was a shameless plug, putting on my Parks hat for Tenitas Creek. If you haven't seen Horsley Park at Tenitas Creek, it is absolutely beautiful, and go check it out sometime during the week right now, because on the weekends it's getting very, very busy. It just opened last week, so it's attracting quite a crowd, but it's one of the most beautiful places on the peninsula. So that's all I have tonight.
Councilmember Salmon, online, do you have a report?
Nothing on my end. Thank you.
I have a brief report. We didn't have a meeting last month, so it's been a fun summer since we last met. I want to shout out the North Fair Oaks Community Alliance for inviting me to their community cleanup. We were able to clean up Oakside and Hampshire and are along the KIPP and Connect campus. I believe Enfoca sent out an email to county and the supervisor about, before and after pictures, everything we were able to accomplish in just like 2 hours. So we look forward to, the county joining us, other community members joining us. We hope to have this, be a monthly occurrence. I know that community members that were seeing us that morning, we did like 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. They were like, well, we were wearing vests, so they were like, "What's going on?" They thought we were with the county, but we were like, "No, we're just, community members just like you who want to clean up our community." So we got a lot of interest, and whenever we host the next one, we do have a lot of people interested in joining, and hopefully it gets bigger. We're looking at, maybe getting students more involved. Again, to Councilmember Daly's point of, getting our community invested in their community. I also want to give a shout out to the Multicultural Institute. They invited me to one of their events yesterday. They had the County of San Mateo elections office staff there, just giving us information about the upcoming elections, like a know your rights type of presentation. So the importance of, registering early to vote. If students are 16, they can register to vote and they'll be enrolled by the time they're 18. Your rights at a voting center, like the ones they have here at the Fair Oaks Community Center. And also, employment opportunities. They have a lot of limited term positions for the November election. So if anyone's looking for a quick little job, look into the County San Mateo website for those opportunities. And lastly, I just hope that to see everyone at the Seeds of Connections event right here in Friendship Park on Huntington Avenue on September 12th. Thank you. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, yes, and then we have a public comment.
Gabriella, you can begin with your comment.
Good evening again. I would like to clarify that Public Works' response to our current tree petition is to ask North Fair Oaks community to wait for 2 to 3 years, not just 2, but possibly 3. And I truly appreciate Supervisor Goucher's and Nick's commitment to accelerating the process of improving our trees. Please note that these trees were planted 25 years ago and they have not received proper maintenance. Our first petition was sent to Public Works 2 years ago and nothing has changed. And a few weeks ago, we created and published 2 videos, and you can see for yourself on the Enfocus YouTube channel so you can see the condition of the trees. It's very difficult to appreciate them unless you're really walking and paying attention or like looking at the video. They're along Meadowfield Road between the 5th and 9th Avenues. We have 24 trees and 13 of them are not doing well at all. And we have 8 spots that have no trees at all. And this time, as I mentioned before, our petition has collected 120 signatures so far. And just while I was out in the meeting earlier today, there were 2 more signatures that came in. And most of these people work and live and study in North Fair Oaks. That's 77% of everyone who signed. The other 23% are allies. They are family and friends of North Fair Oaks. And as I mentioned earlier, the county can plant trees in the 8 empty spots immediately. They don't have to wait. They can send an arborist to check each tree and determine which ones need water. And then somebody can actually water them by hand. We don't need a whole irrigation system to be implemented. So please, let's think outside the box and let's try to make this a better community, a greener community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, I'd like to move to adjourn if that's all right.
Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
We stand adjourned at 8:38. Thank you. The time is now 8:38 and the meeting is now adjourned.
Pretty good. Normally, we expand to fill the available time.